Pitch calling 101. So you guys know me, I'm Wedge. Nice to see everybody, sort of. Before we begin, I'm going to put this on here because I want you guys to, if you have a phone, just go ahead and pull your phone out and scan that real quick. And once you have all scanned it, you'll see that there is a Padlet, kind of a question forum, so that anytime throughout the presentation here, if you have a question, you can write it down, and we're going to stop periodically as we go and just talk about any questions that come up. So the actual kind of seminar is going to go through a couple different phases. So at the end of every phase, we are going to pause for a second and read any questions that might come up. It doesn't have to be on task. It can be whatever questions you have. And if it's something that we're going to cover later, then I'll just let you know that we'll cover it later. And if it's something that you want to know about now while we're on the topic, then we'll talk about it. We'll also have time at the end to go through a little bit of a Q&A so that we can talk about it more later. So I know that sometimes with the Zoom calls, it gets weird kind of waiting for everybody to think up a question and then unmute themselves and then come out. And then if 3 people unmute themselves at the same time, then it can get, kind of awkward. So I thought this would be a better way. So if you have a question that pops up and you want to write it in so that we can talk about it later. And if you agree with any questions that get posted, just give it a thumbs up so that we can see which ones more people are thinking about, and we can go from there. So without further ado, I figure we might as well hop right in. Pitch calling 101. Okay. So what we're going to talk about first, and this is something that I know that I talk about a lot, is a priority list, right? A priority list just being that it's things that we need to think about first and in order so that it can help us really just figure out how we want to go about learning how to call pitches, right? Because that's kind of what this is all about, is learning how to call pitches. Before we start, I will say that calling pitches it's not like a scientific equation. There's no recipe for it. But there's a lot of ways to deduce knowledge and to be able to kind of figure it out as you go. Really, at the end of the day, like when you guys are in game situations, you might have a coach giving you information. You might have books or charts or anything like that can help you come up with information and formulate a plan. As you get older and you play higher levels of baseball, you get, scouting reports that you have to study, and then you go through it with a coach or with your pitching staff or with other catchers, and you have the ability to just slowly build a plan. And it helps when you play the same team, 3 or 4 times in a row, so that you can really figure out how you want to attack hitters and how you want to do it like that. So now, obviously, for this age group, for the most part of the people on the call, that you don't get that information a lot of the time. So that's one thing that we're really going to talk about today is being able to create a kind of a plan on the fly while you're facing a team, for the first time. Maybe you're in a tournament, or maybe it's early in the season, or I know at the junior level, like there's a lot of players coming to teams from different leagues from the previous year. So there's a lot of people that we don't know going into the game. So, and also stats are unreliable at this age, to be honest. So going and trusting like point streak to try to figure out who players are on certain teams, it doesn't really work out very well. So as a catcher, it's really important that we are able to create our own plans on the fly. And that's what we're going to talk about. So priority list here, I'll just read through it. Number 1, earn your pitcher's trust. That's number 1 for a reason. It's the most important thing. It doesn't matter how good you are at calling games. If the pitchers don't trust you, they're just going to shake their head all day. They're going to want to throw whatever they want to throw. And sometimes they're going to be wrong. Sometimes they're going to be right. But that trust between you and the pitcher is really important so that you can have ideas. I mean, you two are supposed to be a team, right? The catcher's main job is to get the pitcher through it. So if a catcher's not, if a catcher doesn't have the trust of the pitcher, then the pitcher isn't you're not going to be able to help them. You're just going to be essentially a rebounder back there, catching it and throwing it back and working your butt off for the pitcher. So catching is a whole lot more fun when you get to call your own game. The other, number 2, know your pitchers. It's really important to know who your pitchers are and what their pitches are, and what they're really good at throwing, what they're not so good at throwing, and stuff like that. Number 3, know the hitters. So that's not always possible, and that's something that we're going to talk about more later. Number 4, pitch count, or your starting pitcher pitch count, to be more specific. Again, we'll talk more about it later. Know the situation, number 5, and number 6, know the goal of the hitter. Okay. So the first one we're going to talk about, earn your pitcher's trust. All right. Now, you guys can't hear this yet, so I need to go here. Let's see, because I need to get out of presentation mode here and go to the Zoom call. Oops, sorry. I love this part when everything gets confusing. And I need to figure out how to get this. Here there it is. All right. Okay, I got to go to speaker so that you guys can hear the video. Okay. Here we go. Oh, sorry, one sec. I was playing with this before, but it was giving me some problems. So let's try this one more time. Speakers. Oh, I see. That's the issue. All right, we got it. Okay. Quick thumbs up if you guys can hear this. Yes, okay, good.
Stay through and get that reach. Nice, good adjustment. You hit 16. You're a big finish. Very nice. 27. Very nice, Michael. Yeah, it's looking really good, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the cutter?
Sorry, one sec.
I love it. I love it, man. I heard about it last year. I know you weren't throwing it after that. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, man, it just gives you that finish to that side. Yeah. Man, and it's got that four seam spin. See it down on the side, I think? No, I didn't see any. White. Pure white. Pure four seam. That's what I like. Yeah. I love it. Love the pitch in. Yep. But I love it that has a little late life at the end just to get guys just a little bit off there. Yeah, and that's the thing is if that's your pitch to get guys off, if that's your pitch to get guys to move off the plate, instead of that change into that two seam, I think the only big thing is when you get that little bit of cut, just make sure when you go to that two seam, arm side, just drive it there. Yeah. Just continue to drive it into the glove. Yeah, I get a little bit sideways at it sometimes. Yep. And that just gives me that run instead of and that's safe. But yeah, that two seam down and away, and that keep that four seam up you throw, if you just drive it through, stay behind it. But I want to throw that cutter just about belly button high, right up in the arm. Yep. Yeah. There's that four seam. So I mean you're gonna saw so many guys off with that because they're gonna see heater and adjust. I just want to super small, just to miss a barrel. Yeah, curveball looks great too. Yeah. It's tighter. I mean, we're just gonna use the show, you mean? Yeah. Use that cutter can be great for lefties too. Yeah. Love it. You look strong, man. Nice job. Good, bro. Appreciate it.
All right. So that's just a really, really great example of a catcher just knowing his pitcher stuff, right? To be able to have a conversation like that with a pitcher, that takes a lot of experience and knowing who the pitcher is and doing your best to study your pitcher. And ultimately, those conversations help your pitchers figure out what makes them good at baseball, right? It's really important for them to know from your perspective how their stuff looks, how it works, where it works in the zone, who it's going to work against, and then being able to be honest with pitchers. And we're going to go through this list here, but being able to be honest with pitchers and giving them honest feedback. Like obviously you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings with your feedback, but they need to know if something's not going to work, right? And it's our job to be able to be good communicators and be able to explain to them why it's not going to work or how they can work on it so that later on it can work in a game. Okay. So I just have some notes here about earning trust. And the first one I have is that there's no shortcuts. Okay. For catchers, especially, there's no shortcuts in the job period. If you're looking for shortcuts to become good defensively, you're going to have to go to the backstop a lot of times. If you're looking for shortcuts on how to be, a good teammate, then that's just not really how it works. You have to show that you're willing to do the work. Otherwise, when it comes to leadership, the first thing that someone does to challenge a leader, and that's what catchers need to be, is a leader. The first thing that someone's going to do to challenge a leader is they're going to look at your work ethic and they're going to compare what you're saying to what you do. So if you're trying to help somebody, or if you're trying to manage like team team culture and you're trying to make sure that your team is doing everything that everybody needs to do so that you guys can be successful, then you have to know that there's no shortcuts. That's just how it is. And that's how it is to be a catcher too. You have to know their stuff. So you could tell from the conversation between Mike Zunino and Marco Gonzalez there that Mike Zunino definitely knows his stuff. Every single time that Marco had a question, he had a good answer to give back to him. And he gave him the next point, which is critique with love, right? Being able to express to your pitcher that you're trying to help them with the information and you're not trying to insult them, right? Like if they need feedback, then they need feedback. That's just how we're going to do it. The fourth point is build them up. There's a bit of a kind of a way to do it. A lot of people call it the sandwich method, and that's just giving them something nice, giving them critique, giving them something nice, and then you just kind of put it together, right? So just explaining to pitchers like, hey, this is something that's happening really well for you. This is something you can do better. Oh, by the way, this is also something that you do really well. So being able to do that just kind of helps you earn that trust with pitchers, and they're going to want to listen to you more because everybody likes being complimented, right? Know how they function. So this kind of goes with like personality traits. So some pitchers, as you get older, like they're very, very competitive. And you know, some pitchers they're alone on that island out there on the mound, and they're just getting mad at themselves, or they're starting to get upset, or they're shutting down, or something like that. It's important for a catcher to know like the personality and how pitchers function, because ultimately, like nowadays, there's mound visit limitations, right? So in order to, you know, give good feedback, you have to be able to do it when, you know, in a timely manner in a way. And you don't want the coach coming out all the time to give feedback. That needs to be the catcher's job, because the coach can only come out one time, and then the second time they have to pull the pitcher, right? So I know me as a coach, like I rely on my catcher to have good conversation with pitchers so that they can work through situations where I don't need to come out there and I don't need to get involved. They figure it out on their own. So sometimes you need to know if a pitcher needs to, you know, they need a kick in the butt or they need a pat on the back. And that's just really important to know. Outwork everybody, right? That goes along with the shortcuts. You have to outwork everybody, or like it or not, people are going to poke holes through your leadership. And as a catcher, if you're not leading, then, you know, someone else will. Don't whine about bullpens. Okay. And I'm coming from a place of being a college catcher who used to whine about bullpens. It sucks sometimes where you have to catch 6-7 guys in one day. You've been out there for 45 minutes. You're seeing everybody hit, but you're losing swings. All these things happen, and it sucks to be a catcher sometimes. But when you whine about bullpens, you're essentially telling the pitcher that you're not present. You're not there to help them. You're not there to help yourself. You're just there to be a wall that the ball bounces off them and goes back to them. So you're missing an opportunity when you whine about bullpens. So it's really important that we don't whine about bullpens, right? It's pretty simple. Catch everybody. You have to catch everybody because you have to know that you have to know what everybody's stuff looks like, right? So if you don't catch a guy and then you go in and I'll tell you a quick story. When I was playing college ball, I was playing summer collegiate in Edmonton, and it was Canada Day. And on Canada Day in the WCBL, which is a summer collegiate league in Alberta and Saskatchewan, there's a lot of people that come to the game. Like that particular incident, we had a pretty big stadium because it was a former AAA stadium, and we had 8,000 people in the stands, which was crazy. And I was catching that game, and we had a guy come in. He was an American guy. He came in, and he was like a 90 to 93 right-handed pitcher, and he was a reliever. And he came in, and he got there the day before. The first time I ever caught him was in that game with 8,000 people in the stands, and he came in the 8th inning to shut it down. He spiked the first 3 pitches in his warm-up because he was nervous. He's never pitched in front of 8,000 people. Spiked his first 3 throws, all at 90, 91, 92, right down. I missed all 3, had to go pick up the ball from the backstop, throw it back. People are starting to boo me. I went into that and I was straight up afraid to make mistakes. First pitch when he got into the game, spiked, ball goes to the backstop, runner goes to second. Second pitch, spiked, ball goes to the backstop, runner goes to third. And I'm trying my best to block 92 in the dirt, pick 92 in the dirt, whatever I can do. But I'm not feeling comfortable. That's the bottom line. And I don't know how much it would have helped the situation, but I'm sure that it would have helped the situation had I gone out and talked, had I caught them earlier in the day to be able to see how their release point works so that I could have a conversation and see how I can help this pitcher through this, because he was stressing, he was really worried about the situation and he was trying his best. So catch everybody, because it can make your life a lot easier. Do your homework. That goes with everything that we've been saying. And again, you got to outwork everybody. Okay. So that's kind of the roadmap for earning a pitcher's trust, is that right there. One thing about all this is that I will send the slides out afterwards. So I don't know if anybody's taking notes or not, but you'll get the slides later. Okay. So priority list, know your pitchers. And at this point, I'm going to take a pause. I don't see any questions in here, but I'm going to give everybody about maybe 30 seconds to 40 seconds. If anybody has a question about earning pitchers trust, the Padlet link, the QR code is on the left there again, if you don't have it. So I'm going to pause for about 30 seconds. If anybody has questions, go ahead and enter it in. I have the Padlet up here. So go ahead. I'm not seeing any so far, but if you are typing one, just keep on typing and submit it, and we'll get to it in a little while. Please do ask questions though, everybody. Okay, so the second part on this priority list here is to know your pitchers. Okay, so what we're going to talk about here, this is where this information can get a little bit heavy and a little bit difficult to follow, especially if you're a younger catcher. But I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible. So please do ask a question in the Padlet if you miss something here, and we can come back to it. All right. So knowing your pitchers, we're going to talk about something called tunneling. Okay. And for anybody who doesn't know what tunneling is, there's a video here on the left. It's an overlay of 3 pitches from Joe Kelly. So Joe Kelly is a curveball that you see 2 curveballs and a fastball here against, I'm not sure who he's pitching against, but what you see is what a tunnel looks like. So at the bottom right, you see that's a image of a Rapsodo fastball curveball combination. So when we look at the 3 things that lead to a good tunnel, number 1 is the trajectory out of the hand. If the ball doesn't come out of the hand the same, right, in terms of direction. So as you can see with the fastball, it comes out of his hand and goes straight towards the top part of the zone. And when you watch the curveball, you see it go towards the top part of the zone until it tumbles off. So the ball is coming out of the hand the same way on both occasions, right? And I would say probably about 30 feet before the ball is split. And one continues going straight, which is the fastball, and one tunnels off and turns into the curveball that goes down. Now, a lot of times when we talk about spin, it's difficult as a hitter, sometimes it's really easy to see difference of spin and sometimes it's not. So when we're talking about a tunneled fastball curveball mix, when you look at the bottom right, you can see that backspin and that top spin, where the seams are going opposite directions, but that blue disc kind of that you can see there on the bottom right, they're very close to being the same, right? If that blue disc there is the same, then those balls are going opposite spin, but they look the same because all you see is that white, just like Marco Gonzalez was talking about, where he was asking if his cutter had the same white that his fastball did. And that's essentially what he was after, is because when you have the white, then it's difficult to pick up the actual spin kind of direction, and a lot easier for hitters to get, fooled by it essentially. So when you're a catcher watching your pitcher throw their pen, which is a really big part of getting to know your pitcher, you have to be looking for these kinds of things. Does the spin look on the fastball and the curveball, when they're both good, does the spin look the same? Can you see that white, or do you see the dot like Marco Gonzalez was talking about? The other thing is the arm slot. If you throw a fastball from here and then a breaking ball from the side, like that gets pretty easy to see after a while. It might work for a little bit, but it's not going to work forever. And eventually hitters are going to be able to lock in on that. So it's really important to understand that you can have multiple arm slots, but those aren't likely to work together. So I didn't mention this, but a big thing about tunneling is trying to think of it almost like a 1-2 punch. So for the pitcher here, it's a 1-2 punch where it's 2 breaking balls and a fastball. He can use both, and that works off of each other. So just thinking like, okay, if it's a 0-1 count and I have 2 pitches to get this guy, then I'll go, what's going to go together? What's going to pair so that we can make it look the same as long as possible and get a hitter out that way. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more about tunneling. So this is what like an arm slot or a spin direction that doesn't look the same, and how easy you can tell the difference. So on the left here, this is a fastball changeup combination here, where the blue is pretty much the same, and that's going to look a lot closer to a hitter's eye. But when you look at the one on the right, that blue is much more open facing, which a hitter can see as well. So that spin direction isn't looking quite like the fastball, which makes it a little bit easier to take that changeup. You can see it out of the hand a little bit easier if you're a hitter, and that you're going to be able to recognize. And you may not know exactly that it's a changeup, but you're going to be able to see it and be like, oh, that looks different. And a lot of good hitters are going to be able to pick that up, and they're going to be able to not swing at that pitch. So the more that the actual angle and the axis of the ball is similar to other pitches, the more deceptive that it looks when it's coming at the hitter. So the one on the left is going to look better when you compare them together than the one on the right. And both of these are fastball changeup combos, right? So with a changeup, as we know, the deceptiveness of a changeup is what gets outs, not necessarily the speed difference or the movement. It has to look like the fastball. So there's a lot of fastballs that changeup on the far right could look like, just not this one. Okay. So how to build a tunnel with your pitcher, and how to recognize tunnels. So this is Kenley Jansen back when he was on the Dodgers. He's going fastball, curveball, and then fastball, right? We can see that the movement profile, which is what we're talking about here, if he throws the fastball at that up and out corner, and then he throws his breaking ball off of that, then that's going to be in the bottom part of the zone and away from the hitter. This is Bryce Harper up. I would guess that he doesn't want to miss low and in to Bryce Harper, because, everybody knows with lefties, they like to pull the ball low and in. They probably have a good scouting report on him that they want to go away. So they're going to go off that, and they're going to figure out what tunnels they want to use. So what you can see on the left is a little diagram here. And how this works is essentially that if there was no gravity on Earth and the ball were to come out of the hand and go on a straight line to that middle point, that 0-0, then that's what that would look like. Now, obviously there is gravity in the world. And so that ball is going to go down a little bit, but as you see the spin on a fastball, so if you have a really high spin rate fastball, then it doesn't go down as much as one with low spin rate. So why you see the fastball higher up like that, away from that middle point, is just because that fastball has a good amount of spin. So it doesn't end up as low as it looks like it's going to end up. It's almost like it's moving upwards, like it's rising, but it's not. It's just not sinking as fast. So then from that fastball, you see that sinker right beside it, the other red dot, where it's away to the right. That means that it's going to move to the right. So this is a right-handed pitcher in this picture. That means that the ball is going to leave like it is a fastball, but then break more to the right. And then obviously you see the changeup, and it's a green dot. So this particular pitcher in this graph on the left here, that fastball, sinker, changeup could be 3 really good pitches that could all go together because they all move the same. So one moves more, one and goes really much slower. One moves a little bit and goes faster, and one goes straighter. So having those 3 options can really help you out when you're trying to think about how you want to get a hitter out. You can basically take that fastball and think about that curveball too, down at the bottom, the orange dot, where you have the fastball going up here. And then just like Kenley Jansen down here, that curveball breaks off and goes down. So just what this is basically trying to say is when you throw your fastball, it's not always helpful just to set up low and away. It's not always helpful to try to just put your fastball in places where you think a hitter might not be super strong, because what you might be doing is showing hitters essentially different release releases and different trajectories out of the hand so that it becomes easier for them effectively to see what pitches are coming and just recognize it and pick up the spin and just feel more comfortable in the box because they're seeing it more. Now, if you're a hitter, imagine this, you don't know what's coming because 25 feet up to you, it looks the exact same. So just understanding that, like, I need my movement profiles to stay as close together for as long as possible and then break off. And that's just how we're going to think about setting up combos and stuff like that, is making hitters think that one thing's coming and then having it break off halfway through. So let me just ask a different thing. Let's everybody on the Padlet right now, while I'm talking here, I want you to just write a combo. Okay. Think about a pitcher that you have on your team or a pitcher that you know, and think about their first pitch and their second pitch and just write down the two pitches that you think would go together, and maybe just one sentence as to why. Okay. And it's all anonymous, so don't worry about saying anything wrong. Your names aren't on there. So yeah, say two pitches in it, and if you think that they go together, and just go ahead and write it on there. Okay, just go on and keep writing if you're writing something. But thinking about the relationship between pitches is really important. So yeah, there we go. We got one. Good, two. All right. Okay, fastball changeup, because they move the same direction, but one is faster with less movement. The other is slower with more movement. Right, exactly. So one thing to consider is how are we setting up for the fastball, and then in preparation for two pitches later for the changeup, right? When we call pitches and we're thinking about our tunnels and how to help our pitchers work that way, it's important to think a couple pitches ahead. So if I have a pitcher that has a changeup that doesn't actually move very much, but it's way slower, then I can start thinking about maybe setting up lower in the zone, because when my pitcher throws that changeup down, it doesn't have to move as much, right? So then I can make that tunnel just a little bit lower in the zone. It can work a little bit. So just consider it while you're in bullpens. Like, just visualize it. Even get somebody to have a recording from behind you so that you can watch it later and see how pitches are coming off. Obviously, you have to trust your pitcher for that one. Okay, fastball cutter, because the fastball moves arm side and the cutter starts in the middle and drops to the glove side. That's exactly right. So it goes this way, right? It splits. So you could be setting up on the outside for a fastball that runs and setting up on the other side for a cutter, right? Just thinking about starting in the middle and then using the corners of the plate that way, or even going on the outside, having one as a chase pitch and one as a back door that comes back into the zone. But again, thinking about the spin of the ball, make sure that it matches up. Otherwise, sometimes that cutter can look kind of like a slider. Fastball changeup, work outer half with fastball and mix in the changeup as well, so hitters will hit it off the end. Yeah, that's definitely a big one with the change of speed is huge, right? Trying to catch hitters maybe out front of their front leg, and then sometimes you can work with fastballs to try to shock hitters and catch them off guard. Fastball high, low curveball. When you see a high fastball, you adjust to high. And then when you see a curveball, it starts up and drops. Exactly. And that's kind of like the tunnel that we're watching from Kenley Jansen here, where that fastball is up here. It looks like it's riding out at the top of the zone the whole way. And then that breaking ball just snaps off. What you really see with the hitter here with Bryce Harper is his posture changing. He looks like he's going low, and then he has to rise up to the ball. And if you get him thinking up, then he starts up and then he has to go down to the ball, and just playing with a batter's posture in that way can really do a lot of things for you. Okay, good job. Really great additions there. All right, let's move on. Okay, so if you have any other questions about that, go ahead and write them in to the question bank there, and we can stop in a minute and take a look at them. Okay, that was a lot of information about tunneling. So if you have questions, please do feel free to ask. Yeah, I see. Okay, fastball, curveball in the chat there too. Perfect. Okay, know the hitters. Okay, that's number 3 here. Now this is easier said than done because at the amateur game, you don't know the hitters most of the time. You don't play them often enough. The only time that you might know a hitter is if maybe they're a friend of yours, or you did a showcase with them. Maybe you caught them a different time, or maybe you just played on different teams or something like that. But knowing the hitters, like, that doesn't always work out because you don't always know the hitters. So what do you do if you don't know the hitters, right? One thing that isn't written down there is you can kind of guess a batting order based on like the stereotypical roles of each part of the batting order. So like the leadoff hitter is typically, a quicker runner with good bat control, and they don't have a lot of pop traditionally, where they slap singles and they try to steal bases, or they try to work counts and they don't swing early in counts and stuff like that. So you can kind of use that information to help you for the first time through the order. But after that first time through the order, you should really be trying to build a bit of a plan for time 2 and 3 through the order. Because that third time through the order is the big one. That third time through the order is potentially that 5th, 6th, 7th innings, when it really, really matters if you don't know the hitters and you're guessing, right? Essentially think of it like you're trying to figure them out by the third time. By the third time through the order, you should try to have an idea as to how you want to go get them, right? But again, let's remember that it comes after knowing your pitchers. Knowing your pitchers is before knowing hitters for a reason. Okay, so what do you do if you don't know the hitters? You can go off of the batting order, of course. But one thing to really consider is starting pitcher pitch count. Okay. And if this is the first time that you've ever thought about this, just think of it this way. How many pitchers in Bantam, how many pitches does a pitcher in Bantam get? Right? I think it's 85. So if a pitcher has 85 pitches, and let's say it's your best pitcher, right? Let's make it 100 pitches just for easiness, but they have 100 pitches. The way I like to think about that is you have $100. Okay. You have 7 innings to spend $100. Some hitters, you're going to want to spend more money too, right? If it's bases loaded, 2 outs, their best hitters batting, then that's one where I'm going to really try to spend some more money. If I have to get this batter out through 8 pitches, 9 pitches, 10 pitches, if I got to do what I got to do to get this batter out right now, no matter how many pitches it takes. But if it's the number 8 hitter, 9 hitter in the lineup with nobody on base, then you don't want to spend any money. Like $1, $2, get them out as fast as possible, get them out of the box, right? Keep it moving. So that starting pitch count can really lend to our pitch calling, because if I got an 8 or 9 batter up, fastballs. Like, let's go. Fastball, especially if it's my best pitcher up and they throw hard and not a lot of people can catch up. Fastballs, just go. And then once you get into situations where you feel like you may need to try a little bit harder to preserve a pitch count, or let's say it's the 6th inning and your pitcher's if they're only going 100, let's say it's the 6th inning and your pitcher's at 85 pitches, and you want them to be able to finish the game to get that CG win, then you need to think about how you're going to get through that 6th as quick as possible, so that in the 7th they can have more pitches to play with. So understanding the starting pitcher pitch count is a big one. Know the situation. So, and this one goes with the 6th. Know the goal of the hitter. So the situation and the goal of the hitter. We're gonna do some scenarios later on in the seminar here, but an easy one is like runner on third base, less than 2 out. The situation is that the batter wants to drive the run in, right? So what is the goal of the hitter in that situation? Well, I would guess that the goal of the hitter in that situation would be to hit a fly ball, right? Find a pitch that they can hit a fly ball with, so that they either drive a double or they hit a sac fly and score the run. So my mind would be, okay, I don't want a sac fly and I don't want the hitter to get what they want. So my plan is going to revolve around those 2 things. Know the situation, know the goal of the hitter. Then from there, like, you can really start using the knowledge that you had already, know your pitchers, know the hitters, starting pitch count, whatever. But understanding, like, I don't want this to happen. I need to make sure I pitch appropriately. Do I need a double play ball here? I need to make sure that I get that double play ball. So I need to figure out a way to generate a ground ball, right? It's problem solving. Okay. All right. So this is kind of where this is going to get a little bit fun. Okay. This is a new one. I want everybody to get their phones out and scan this and let me know, send a thumbs up when you guys are ready. This is for a Mentimeter. Okay, I got 1 thumbs up, couple thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, 3, good, perfect, awesome. Okay, lots of thumbs, great. Okay, don't answer the questions yet. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're gonna play a couple games here. We're gonna play a game that I call "What's the Call?" All right. Don't press anything yet. I'll let you know when it's time. Okay. So we're gonna watch a video here on this next slide. Sorry if that was loud. Okay, so we got the Braves here. This is a Mariners versus Braves game. I was at this game. That's why I picked it. Just we're talking about knowing the pitcher's strengths at this point. Okay, so we got George Kirby on the mound. That's who we're going with here. Great young right-handed pitcher, going to be an awesome Mariners player. I love him already. Okay, so the reason I chose this clip is because it's going to give us information on George Kirby's pitches. All right. So I'm going to pause it right here. Oops, crap. Try that again. Okay, we'll pause it right there. Okay, so what do we see? George Kirby, his number 1 pitch, 4-seam fastball, 46.4%. George Kirby throws this pitch almost half the time. Then his second and third pitches in terms of use looks to be a cutter and a curveball, 15%, 14%, and then a sinker, changeup, slider. So he's got 6 pitches. That's a lot of pitches for a modern day pitcher to have. And he uses all of them, right? Like 6% isn't a lot, but if you throw 100 pitches, that's 6, right? 6 sliders throughout the game. To me, I know, because I know George Kirby, I will say now that he uses a slider to strike people out sometimes. It's not a pitch that he just throws down the middle to try to make it work, but it is a pitch that he'll use to get swings and misses. Okay. So the reason I really like this angle is because it gives us that tunnel, right? So when we're thinking about where that pitch comes in, and we see this kind of diagram here that gives a good tunnel as to where it comes from and where it finishes. So we see that 4-seam likes to be up in the zone. The slider, this is just based off where it would be. So it would be a little lower, and then you see that curveball breaking down and away a little bit more. So this is the pitcher strength. I'm showing this because I want you to keep all this in mind. Okay. So 4-seam is at 46% and then down from there. Okay. All right. Okay. First inning. The goals: establish your best pitch, which was his fastball, 46%. Low pitch count. Through the first inning, we want to keep that pitch count as low as possible. Okay, so a lot of fastballs. I think 1 slider so far. And he finishes them off with a slider. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys that this is how it's going to work. On future ones, you guys will get a chance to guess what pitch you think is coming. So George Kirby uses that slider, gets the batter out. My theory here is that was the 6th pitch of the at bat. That's the leadoff guy. You want that first inning to be as low of a pitch count as possible. So they're going to try to go after him. After a while, though, you have to remember that Ronald Acuna Jr. is pretty dangerous. So you can't just give Ronald Acuna Jr. a cookie down the middle and hope that it works out. So, but only 2 pitches shown to the hitter in this case, right? Fastball and a slider. All right. Okay. So what we got here, we're fast forwarding to the 3rd inning. It's still early in the game. He's got a low pitch count, and it's still the first time through the order. Eddie Rosario's up. We're at 21 pitches. It's an 0-1 count now with a runner on first base and none out. 0-0 game, top of the 3rd. Okay. Eddie Rosario, I believe, is the 8th batter. So that was a first pitch fastball. Then another fastball. Another fastball, two-seamer. I was here. I watched this. Excellent catch. Yeah, that was pretty neat. I wanted to show you this because not one pitch later, it's the first pitch to the next batter. We see Sam Haggerty come to the line again, but this time the juggle did not work. Okay, back to it. So 2 fastballs in a row. That was a bad changeup. You could see how grumpy he was about it. And another bad breaking ball. 2-1 count. Now, okay, so it's 2-2. We went fastball, breaking ball, fastball, fastball. Now it's full. Fastball again. Fastball again. 30 pitches now through two and a third. I was sitting right over there. I'm somewhere on your TV right now. Okay. Fastball again. All right. This is where we're going to go for it. What's the call? You guys are going to guess what pitch you think is coming. All right. So go ahead. Take a guess. Okay. Fastballs, changeup, sliders. Okay, there's only 7 people now. If anybody doesn't have the QR code, just go ahead and message into the Zoom link here, and I'll go back to the slide. If you do, if everybody has it, then just you can also go to the thing at the top there, go to menti.com and use the code. That's another way to get on without the QR code. Okay, how many people have submitted? Okay. Fastball, slider, changeup. All right. Okay, so we got a pretty mixed one. Let's see. Fastball. Good job, everybody who said fastball. Okay. Just a nasty two-seam on the inside part of the plate. Now, this was set up, right? Maybe not necessarily through a bunch of different pitches, but you can see that, the foul balls that Robbie Grossman hit were to the opposite field. He's a 9-hole, and you could see that they were trying to go away quite a bit early in the at bat here. And then with fastballs, they just kept going in. Now, the reason for that is we're still the first time through the order. And that's something that we all always have to remember. When it's your first time through the order, it's not about trying to trick batters. In fact, it should never really be about trying to trick batters. Instead, it's about trying to get through as quick as possible and allowing your starting pitcher to show the best stuff that they got. Throw their best pitch over and over and over and over again so that we can see if we even have to adjust. Because if we don't even have to make an adjustment, then just keep throwing your pitcher's best pitch, right? Why make the game harder on ourselves? Okay, we're going to move on to the next one. All right, so we got Ronald Acuna Jr. up again. This is the 6th inning. This is the 3rd time through. He's the leadoff hitter, so this is his 3rd at bat. We're getting late in the game. His pitch count is rising. Right now, there's 2 outs in the 6th inning. So he's at 75 pitches, but he's a rookie last year. So we know that rookie pitch counts don't usually climb up super, super high. They try to keep them down a little bit, keep them healthy. But so 75 pitches through 6, he's doing a really good job. They're winning the game 1-0, right? This is Acuna's 3rd time through the order. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That second fastball right there away. Fastball away. Looked like a missed spot. Tapping the dirt. Just kidding. It's fastball up. So that's 3 fastballs in a row, 4 fastballs in a row. All right. What's the call? And I have to go to here, and we'll go to the next one. Okay. What's the call? A lot of sliders. Ooh, 3 sliders out of the gate. Okay, Jack. Oh, you got it? Good, Jack. Okay. A lot of sliders. Is anybody brave enough to unmute themselves and explain why they're calling a slider here? You don't have to. Everybody's muted if anybody's trying to say something, but. Okay. All right. So far we got 7 sliders, 1 fastball. Okay. Let's see. Okay, what's the call? Here we go. Fastball. All those sliders. All the people that said slider. Wrong. Okay, why? Why do we think fastball? Oh, the one person who said fastball. Good for you. Not sure who it was, but kudos. Okay, now why, right? Why is the question? Why a fastball? The easiest answer is it's his best pitch, right? He's shown it. It didn't look like Acuna was necessarily on it. So that first pitch slider. The other thing is, if you look at that first pitch slider take, he looks like he's seeing it, right? He looks pretty strong on it. And that fastball, it looks like he's trying to go away. He was trying to hit it away. That fastball again, he looked late, right? So late, fastball, late. Fastball, took it, not a competitive pitch. Okay. So a lot of fastballs in a row, but like George Kirby's throwing fastballs at 96, 97. And as long as he can put it in a good spot, like that was a miss spot. You can see where Cal Raleigh wanted the pitch. He wanted it higher up here. But with sometimes when you need it, you just throw your best pitch and you hope for the best, right? The other thing I would consider is that at 80 pitches here in the 6th, George Kirby's doing so well that I think maybe they wanted to try to get one more inning out of him. And if Ronald Acuna Jr. hits a home run on a fastball here, it's 1-1. You go into the 7th in a tie game and you play a 3-inning ball game. And the Mariners, I know the Mariners had a pretty good record in one-run games, and late in the game, they have a really good bullpen. So they were probably going to take that chance and just go for it and throw the best pitch. So one thing to take away is it's always okay to throw your best pitch, no matter who's up, no matter the situation. We don't want to try to trick hitters. Sometimes we just want to rear back and throw your best fastball and see what happens. Okay. All right. So we got one more game of what's the call. I want to remind everybody, know the situation and know the goal of the hitter here. Okay. So situation here, Paul Sewald is in. He was the closer for the Mariners. It's a 3-1 game now. So they're up by 2. Leadoff hitter is Acuna. Sewald has a fastball slider tunnel. That's his 2 good pitches. Acuna over 3, a strikeout on a slider and a strikeout on a fastball in the last at bat that we just saw. Dansby Swanson, he has 2 hits this game. I think they were both on fastballs. And Austin Riley is a dangerous hitter. We don't want him up to bat with the tying runner on base, right? When I had my coach in college, his name was Cav Whiteley, and he would tell me all the time when I was calling pitches, don't let their best player beat us. That was the main thing that he wanted us to know. Don't let their best player beat us. So we don't want Austin Riley up with Acuna and Swanson on base. That's essentially the main of it. If Acuna hits a solo home run, it's 3-2. If Dansby Swanson hits another solo home run, it's 3-3. And then we got to pitch to Riley in a 3-3 game. We'll take our chances that they're not going to go back to back to back, right? And like, especially off our closer, which is one of our best pitchers. You all have good pitchers out of the pen on your teams. So sometimes we want to make sure that we're just trying not to let runners get on base at times. Okay. That's what I want to make sure I said. All right. So Paul Sewald. Acuna. Fastball. right down the middle. Go get him. First pitch. Slider. And a lucky out, really. I bet Acuna probably wishes that that was a foul ball. So we'll take that. Fastball slider. 1 out. 1-0 count to Dansby here. Fastball, 1-1. Slider. So we got a 1-2 slider. Or 1-1 slider. Now it's 1-2. And another slider. Got him. Made him look pretty silly about it too. Okay, so two outs on sliders. Both, and they're pretty good sliders, right? That's a pretty good pitch. Made him look pretty silly. You can see with Dansby Swanson's posture there that he's probably looking for a fastball. Okay, first pitch fastball, challenging him because he can't hit a 2-run home run when nobody's on base. Might as well go right after him. Okay, that's a slider on 1-1 there. So now it's 1-2. All right, what's the call? And I will go to, I'll switch it over now. All right, what's the call? Sewald versus Riley. We got a 1-2 count. A lot of fastballs. A lot of fastballs. Oh, another slider is joined. Interesting that we have a lot of fastballs when he's made 2 of the best hitters in the lineup look so silly, and they're both right-handed hitters with the slider. Let's see how it pans out. I honestly can't remember. Okay, what's the call? Here it is. Fastball. And that's the save. And I got to go home happy. All right, so good call for everybody that said fastball. Why? I think because really they could have gone with either. Either one of them could have worked. If that one didn't work, they probably would have gone back to the slider. But like I said, Austin Riley can't hit a 2-run home run with nobody on base. So why not just keep going right after them and see what happens? Okay. All right, we're going to do a couple scenarios here. This is where I would like Padlet to really come out. So I want everybody to go back to that Padlet link. And you can keep it really quick here. We're just going to write out, actually, wait, no, don't go back to the Padlet link. I forgot. I have it right here for everybody. All right. Scenario 1, what is the best case result? Okay. So you guys are going, I'll read this out to everybody. Scenario 1, none out, right-handed batter up with a runner on second base. It's the bottom of the 7th. We're playing 7 innings. Okay. Bottom of the 7th, we're up by 1. So we're winning by 1 run with a right-handed batter up and a runner on second base, none out. We have a fresh right-handed reliever on the mound. They throw a fastball, slider, changeup. What is the best case result? Where do we want the batter to hit the ball? What is the hitter trying to do? These are just questions to help you think about essentially how to go about this here. And I'll go ahead and just have both running here and we can take a look at how this pops up. Okay, so go ahead and say what the best case result would be in scenario 1 here. Remember, you're a catcher, not a hitter. Best case result. What do we want to happen as a catcher in this situation? What are we trying to do? Yeah. Whoever just put it on the Padlet, you can go back on the Mentimeter. There's a new slide up that you can just enter in the multiple choice. So sorry that I said Padlet before, but go to the Mentimeter. Yeah, another person said on the Padlet, batter bunts, pitcher throws to third, then throws to first. So a double play. That would be pretty nice. We'd take that. Okay, a lot of people saying strikeout, ground ball to the right side. If I'm a hitter, that's the best case result. Or actually, no, I wouldn't even say that's the best case result. The best case result is I hit a home run. The minimum that I'm trying to do is hit a ground ball to the right side. So if I'm a catcher in this situation, I don't want them to hit a ground ball to the right side. If they hit a ground ball to the right side, then the runner moves from second to third, and that's the tying run, right? Bottom of the seventh, we're up by 1. So if they hit a ground ball over there, then they have the tying run at third base with 1 out. So they could hit a sac fly. They could do anything really to score that run. So our strategy when we're calling pitches right now should be to get the strikeout. That's the best case result, is strike the batter out, right? If we strike the batter out, then there's no way that that runner can advance to second or third, I should say, or score, right? Okay, scenario 2. Okay, and I will read it first, and then I will show everybody the, I'll switch over the Padlet or the Mentimeter. Okay, so scenario 2, the infield is playing in. We have 1 out. It's the top of the 6th game and it's tied. Okay, so we're playing 7 innings. We have a left-handed hitter up and there's a runner at third base. So lefty up, runner at third base, 1 out, infield's in, it's tied. Our left-handed pitcher is on the mound. He's started. Okay. And our pitcher's at 95 pitches. They throw a fastball, curveball, cutter. Now 95 pitches. Let's remember what that means. That means that pitcher's almost done, right? It's time to spend the rest of the money that we got, which is about $5. So essentially what that means is you're trying to empty the tank here. Okay, let's get this guy out. Let's try to do it with our left-handed starting pitcher because it's a left-handed batter up, right? So we have that lefty-lefty matchup working for us here. Let's remember again, what is the best case result? How do we will make sure that the runner stays at third, and what will score the runner, right? What is the hitter trying to do in this situation? All right, so we're going to scenario 2. How will you stop the run from scoring? Okay, so go ahead and enter it in on there. How will you stop the runner from scoring? How do we make sure the runner stays at third? How do we stop the run from scoring? Right? 1 out, infield in, left-handed hitter up, runner at third base, tie game, top of the 6th, starting pitcher on the mound, fastball, curveball, cutter, tunnel. Okay, that's a good answer. Yeah, an inside pitch. Try to induce some soft contact. Yes, Jack, I can. Or you can go to menti.com and type in the code that's at the top of the screen. But I'll take you up to the code right now. That you can also scan this QR code right here, Jack. Yep, good. Speed change, keep the ball down. Keep the ball in the infield, ground ball pop up, inside cutter for a jam. Yeah, create soft contact. Fastball up and in, cutter starting up, dropping down, finish off with fastball, outside corner to freeze the batter. People think it's a cutter and take. Okay. So thinking about tunneling on this one for sure is trying to figure out how we can disguise that cutter or how we can disguise that fastball at the end, right? Think about the cutter, make that hitter think that it's going to be another one out and then popping it right on the corner, right? That's a good strategy. Okay. One thing I definitely want to avoid, keep it in the infield fastball. Yeah. One thing I definitely want to avoid is anything that could be hit into the outfield. right? That's a big one, is making sure that we want to avoid anything that could be hit to the outfield. So we likely force high fastball, curveball, low cutter. Yeah. Soft contact is the big answer here, right? That I see it mentioned a couple times. Soft contact, right? So how do we create soft contact with a left-handed hitter up and a left-handed pitcher on the mound? My goal would be to try and create a rollover. That would be my whole strategy here, right? So that inside pitch was the first answer that we got. That's a great place to start. Try to get them thinking like they want to pull, like they want to be the hero, right? If they want to be the hero, we'll let them try to, but we're going to get them out another way. All right. So these are good answers. Soft contact is the big answer though. All right. This is a long scenario here. Okay. So I'm going to read it out. We're up by 3 runs. Okay. It's the last inning. There's runners on second and third with 1 out. Their number 3 hitter is up at the plate. It's a righty. Struck out twice, but has a double as well. The number 4 hitter is on deck, left-handed hitter, pull hitter, and they have a solo home run on the day, 2 hits. Our pitcher is a plus fastball slider, right-handed pitcher. It's our closer. Okay. Our closer's at 20 pitches already, but our bullpen, nobody else is available. Our closer is finishing this game, whether we win or lose. The closer's in the game. The closer is capable of throwing a fastball inside to righties, but misses in sometimes. And the slider is nasty today. That's a good piece of information to know. Know what's good today, right? Okay, so as I go to the next slide here, you're going to see a list of priorities. The first thing to do, your second thing that you need to do, and then these list of questions at the bottom. What's the best possible result? What's the worst possible result? What pitch are you going to try and set up? Do you want to walk the 3 hitter? How are you going to win this game? These are all questions that you can kind of think in your mind as you're in this situation and just think like, okay, how would I actually do this? Like, what is the best possible result? What is the worst possible result? And let that inform your decision. Okay. So, here you go. How are you going to win this game? So this is in order. Make a plan. 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 1 is what you're going to do first. 2 is what you do second. 3 is what you do third. And 4th is what you do last. Okay. Again, we're up by 3 last inning. Runners on second and third with 1 out. Their number 3 hitters up at the plate. Number 4 hitters on deck. Left-handed hitter. Pull hitter has a home run on the day. You have 1 out, a reminder. Okay, good. Lots of. Okay, just waiting on, I think, 4 more people. Okay, I'll give it about 10 more seconds. Just go ahead and put the priorities in what you got. All right. So the order that we have here as a group is correct. That is the correct order. So good job, everybody. The first thing you need to do is go talk to the pitcher. Make sure that they're ready to go. Give them confidence, right? When we're talking about mound visits, and this is not something that's on this necessarily this presentation, but it's something that we can talk about briefly here. When we're talking about mound visits, there's kind of a couple different ways to do a mound visit. Number 1, you can talk about strategy, which is a good time to do a mound visit in this situation to talk about, okay, do we want to walk this number 3 hitter and then have the winning run at the plate? Probably not. So we need to go tell our pitcher like, hey, we don't want to walk this hitter. I know we have a base open, but we don't want to put the tying run on base for their best hitter who's already got a home run on the day, right? So you got to kind of go explain a little bit like we need to be aggressive here, okay? The other thing is make sure they're ready to go, right? This is a high pressure situation, so we need to make sure that they are in the right headspace. Okay. So our job as catchers is to make sure that everybody around us is in the right headspace, because we're always in the right headspace, right? We should be. So go talk to the pitcher, make sure they're ready, give them confidence. Giving confidence is giving a plan. Give them a plan, give them encouragement, and give them a pat on the butt and let's go. Right. So it's important to be able to do those things for our pitcher. The second thing, tell your fielders where they should throw the ball. Sometimes fielders forget, and they even know it. They could think about it before, but then when the ball comes to them, they're so surprised, or they make a nice play and then they're just autopilot and they mess their footwork up. They go to first and then they go, oh wait, I have to go home, and then they switch and then they throw it away. All these things can happen in a very short amount of time. So it's important for catchers to not only tell the pitcher what they're doing, but on the way back from the mound, tell the fielders what they're doing. Because if you can voice that and tell the fielders what they should be doing, then they don't need to think about it. You tell them, hey, you're going to come to me. You get the ball, you throw it to me. You get the ball, you throw it to me. And that gives them one less thing to think about while they're trying to do what they're trying to do. Okay. So it also just makes sure that nobody's going to mess it up. At the same time, you could also go, hey, you're the cutoff out there. You're the cutoff out there. And you can just have that moment to kind of direct everybody and let everybody know. Get eye contact, call their attention, make them look at you, use your voice, because at this point, there's one thing that is so important for a catcher to understand is you can see everybody on the field, but what connects with that is that everybody on the field can see you. So you need to be able to emit confidence and emit the calmness that comes with being a catcher, and tell everybody like, hey, we have a plan. This is what we're doing. Throw me the ball in this situation. And when it comes to big innings or innings that get away from us, these actions help to stop those from happening. So being a leader in this situation is a great way to get your team through it. Get ahead in the count, set up a strikeout pitch. That's the correct order, because you can't set up a strikeout pitch in an 0-0 count. In this situation, you have to be aggressive. You have to go get them, and you have to be able to set that up. Okay. All right. Okay. Good job, everybody. You got the order correct. All right. Only a couple more slides and then we're done. Okay. Pitch calling chart. This is just an easy chart. If you guys want to take a photo of this, feel free. It's going to be in the slides that I'm going to send out also. But this is essentially just a really easy way to think about it. Your best pitch, you can throw it in any count. Your second best pitch, you can throw it in any count. Your third best pitch, you probably only want to throw when you're ahead in the count. And your fourth best pitch, you only want to throw when you're really ahead in the count. Other than that, like the X's, it just goes with, don't try to trick everybody. This isn't a video game. You can't throw a knuckleball for the first time ever and expect it to work in a 3-2 count, right? You can trick the hitter, but that doesn't mean it's going to work. So stay with what you know. Stay with your pitcher's best stuff. In any situation that you're thinking, I don't know what to call right now, it's usually a good place to go to their best pitch. Even if the batter's guessing correctly, they still have to hit it. They still have to do their job. So, okay, back to the priority list. We know all of these. A seventh priority is play the show. I know it just said it's not a video game, but if I learned how to call a game through playing baseball video games. That's playing video games with my friends, playing video games online, playing video games with my family. Playing the show is a great way to try out